How does anybody survive during a recession? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this video from today. My name is Lua and I'm going to talk today about a recession, how to survive during a recession. What do you need to know if the country is headed down that route? I'm here to talk about some key pointers that will help you, help me, help anybody, not to save, not to get rich, to survive. You're wondering, what gives you the right, Lua? What experience have you got to tell me? Well, I have witnessed a recession in this country, like it or not, 2008. And I remember the pictures on the news, people queuing up to get money from banks because we thought things were crumbling down. And I must say that I was in a pretty bad time. I just had my first child and I was not working. I had been out of work for a few months and I survived, came out with less debts. So if you want to find out what I did and the tools that helped me to stay afloat, then this video will definitely help you and most people watching. Before we run with it, let's talk about a recession. I have done several videos on inflation, on cost of living crisis. I'm looking forward to maybe a recession. First and foremost, what is a recession? It's seen as a decline in things like GDP, employment, wholesale retail prices, as well as industrial production. Again, this is very, very economic. Let's talk about it in layman's terms where everybody can understand what a recession is. It is a period where companies just make less profit, less sales, there's less employment, property values go down, and income generally reduces. It is a very bleak period in an economy which has a lot of other factors in the background that lead it down this route. And I'm not going to bore you guys because really, you worrying about how to survive, we don't really care about what cost it at this point. We want to just know, how do we survive over the next few months if there's a recession? And I'm doing this video in advance so that you think about what you do daily to ensure that if we went down that route, you will not be out of pocket, you would not struggle to survive, and you might actually come out positive. One thing that I get people ask a lot, and I've had one person ask me, what is the difference between inflation and recession? The main thing to note with the recession and inflation is that a recession is a period of a downturn for the economy in general. People lose jobs, unemployment rates are high, GDP is low, and just general income per person seems really at a down. It's a time for economic downhill and people do drastic things to survive. Inflation, on the other hand, is not great. Although we are on 10.1% as of last week, which is the highest we've seen in a while. What that means, and I've done several videos on inflation and cost of living, it's just when prices go up in the market. What's the difference? The difference is, although inflation is not great, every economy now and then needs inflation to stay afloat. Recession, on the other hand, it's a completely different story. But the one thing to note while we are thinking we're heading down the recession is because inflation is going up, interest rates are going up. It just means that borrowing is more difficult and you head down a recession. Now, enough of all the jargons. Let's talk about what you can do. The first thing and the most important thing, I don't care what anybody else says, is to cut down costs. Cutting down costs is a whole topic on its own, but I'll talk about some major things that I did then and I'm doing now in preparation of a possible recession. The first thing I have done is I've cut down on all of my non-essential needs. Again, non-essential needs for some people. Some people might find a massage every month essential. Fine. I don't think that that's essential, so I cut things that I believe I can live without. I keep my cost at a bare minimum. Good example is a car. I will use this example because when COVID hit the UK, I had just gotten myself a car on finance, a brand new car, drove out of the factory 0 miles. Packed the car, used it for 3 weeks, and we went into lockdown. I was paying over £500 a month just to keep the car financed, serviced, and that doesn't include my tax as well as my insurance. It cost me about £650. Now, what did I do? After 8 months of paying this amount, talking about almost £4,000, the car had done 1,300 miles and I decided to get rid of it. And that has been the best decision I've made. We are a family of 6 and my husband always had a 7-seater. which took us to A and B. Our kids go to local schools and we do not need 2 cars. He worked from home permanently and I'm a hybrid working person. Why do I need 2 cars? Think about it. If you're watching this video now and you have 2 cars parked on the drive, you don't need them, think about getting rid of one. I tell you, if you can survive with one, do it. That's my idea of cutting down costs. That's one example of several. Another thing that you can think about is number of times you eat out and go for takeaways. Get your own food, cook it, and save up on the cost of your living. These are things that you can do without, because even the cost of food goes up, the cost of eating out has gone up, and everything in between. Cut down your costs to things that you do not want, but things that you need. It's really important to get that right. Cost of living crisis means reduce your cost of living. I can give you other examples really fast. TVs. If you currently have a full Sky package and you don't even watch the movies, you have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, do you need all 3? I don't think you do. Do you watch only the main channels every night? Don't you watch Netflix instead of watching Sky movies? Think about reducing your cost. Even on your phone bill, if you don't need to upgrade your contract, stay with what you have. Maybe once your contract ends, keep your same contract that you have and don't go for a new contract, because you'll be paying the minimum amount and that could save you anywhere close to 50, sometimes to 90 pounds a month. Think about things like that. Keep your eyes on the ball and check your monthly direct debits and see what can I reduce. I'll come back to tell you why you want to reduce your cost of living. You might keep your job, but the reason why this is important is because you would need to amass some savings during this period, and that takes me to the next point. Next point is saving. The reason why I'm talking about saving is because we have not yet reached that point where we cannot survive. We are heading down a recession. We are not there yet. So this is the time for you to always have money kept in case you lose your job. Losing jobs are a very high characteristic of a recession. And normally I'll always say, like a rule of thumb, keep 3 months worth of finances in case you lose your job. Keep that in an emergency fund, in a savings account. If you've not been doing it, this is the time to start. But this time I'll go further and say, don't keep 3 months worth, keep 6 months worth of money in case you lose your job. That can be as an emergency fund. Why am I saying this? Why don't you want to borrow? The next point linked to this is borrowing. You can borrow less during a recession. Honestly, you'll thank me later. Why? Interest rates are really high, and only on this point, I'll say to pay off your debts if you can now, to pay this off before things get bad. So I'll suggest that clear off your debt during this period in preparation for a recession. So borrow less and pay off your debts. You'll always come out smiling at the end. The next thing that I want to talk about is think about a skill to learn. IT seems to be great. There's so many IT programming courses. I've said this before. I've actually done a separate video on side hustles and extra streams of income. And I think having a skill that you can use when things go bad, a skill that you believe that will be in high demand. There's so many things. Example, be phlebotomist. What are they? The people who take out blood. Those are things that you can do on like a side hustle during the weekends. Train to be a massage or a therapist, because during this period, people are very stressed and they might want to take out massages. I know that sounds like a luxurious thing to do, but there is a market for everything that you sell if you do it well. Another thing that you can think about is makeup lessons. You can think about learning how to bake. You can think about learning how to sew. You can think about several things during this period. One, because during a recession, having multiple streams of income is a good way to get yourself out of it. The next thing is budgeting. I'm going to insert a simple template I use. There are loads of software out there. I don't like it complicated, I like it simple. What I do is I have an Excel spreadsheet which just has my incoming every month. And this is what is fixed income, what I get from my 9-to-5 job. If you have less of a 9-to-5 job and you do side hustles, you have an average of what you expect every month, right? And then you can have multiple streams coming in, and then you have your outgoing. What do you spend out every month in terms of direct debits? What do you save, and what do you have as an emergency fund? Using this and sticking to this normally helps you to save, but at this point, we're going past saving. It helps you to stay afloat. And when you're making this your budget, think about inflation. Think about the fact that the prices are going to change. The prices will definitely go up. Consider that when you are making your plans. If you're really big on investments, like you've got loads of investment out there, don't panic. I am not giving you this video for you to panic. This might be a time for you to actually invest more if you've been very frugal and you're big on savings. I'm not giving financial advice because I've not got the accreditations to give financial advice. Speak to a financial advisor on this, because this might be the time to go in, especially if you're in property. Time to maybe buy houses on auction sales, maybe to invest in certain bonds that the prices have in anticipation for a rise. And if you're already an investor, don't panic and sell. No, because it would not last for long. It could go to 6, 9, 10 months, maybe a year worst case. So don't panic. If you can stay afloat, do so. Don't get coerced, don't get forced, or don't get intimidated and think that you want to liquidate all your assets. This is not a time to do that. Do not panic. And the last thing we're going to talk about now is maybe very practical ways with energy bills and day-to-day bills. I talked about cutting down cost, didn't I? So in your home, if you're a single person, you live in a 2-bed house, and you have a friend who lives in a 2-bed house, and you guys are paying double bills, and you spend your time saying, maybe this is a time not to get rid of your home. You can actually rent your home short term if you're able to, moving in with a friend and saving your energy bills. I know you're thinking, really? Yes, we are doing the most ridiculous things now. We want to come out better. We don't want to come out with debt. We don't want to come out with bills that we cannot pay. And the last, relax, okay? Relax. Keep your mental health stable. Be surrounded with people, friends, and family that relax you. Mental health during this period is really one that we don't talk about enough. But with all the panic, the scary and depressing news, you could get yourself in a mental state that will not do you any favors and will not fix the problem. So ensure that up here remains sane and do everything possible. Take a relaxing bath. Maybe watch less of the news. Maybe embark on things that will distract you. Start a new cheap hobby. Maybe start stamping, start knitting, crocheting, whatever. Keep yourself surrounded by family and friends that will encourage you and will support you. I hope that this video has helped you. If you found this point helpful, give us a thumbs up. What would you do? What have I missed out? And as usual, thanks very much for watching. Consider subscribing for more content like this, and I'll be doing one on my mortgage series after this. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.